I never thought I'd make it past 70. Honestly, there were days I wasn't sure I'd make it past the week. But here I am, 82 years old, and I've cycled over 2,000 miles each of the last 2 years. That number still surprises me, not because I didn't believe in myself, but because there were so many moments when life made me believe I shouldn't even be standing, let alone riding a bike up hills and feeling the wind on my face. I've had 3 cancers. One of them came back not once, but twice. I went through chemo so many times I could name every nurse by heart. Radiation left my body weak, my skin thin, my spirit trembling. But I kept showing up. I kept walking through those hospital doors, even when my hands shook and my legs didn't want to follow. Then came the heart attacks. The first one stole my breath. The second almost stole my life. They put a pacemaker in me, a stent too. People looked at me like I was made of wires and tape, like maybe I should slow down, maybe I should stay in bed, maybe I should be thankful just to sit in the sun and watch the birds. But I wasn't built to sit still, not after everything. See, the thing about getting older is people start talking about you like you're already gone. They lower their voices when they mention your name. They whisper things like, "He's not doing so well," or "She's had a rough year." They mean well, I know they do, but they don't see what's still alive inside us. They see the medications, the hospital visits, the cane or the walker. They don't see the fight. And that's what I want to talk to you about, because I know some of you watching this have been through it. Maybe it wasn't cancer, maybe it was losing someone you loved, or a surgery that didn't heal right, or waking up one morning and realizing the person in the mirror looked older than the one you still felt like inside. Maybe your hands don't work like they used to, or your back hurts for no reason. Maybe you've been tired for so long, you forgot what it's like not to be. But listen to me, you are not done yet. Your story isn't finished just because you've had a few bad chapters. Just because the world sees your age and assumes you're slowing down doesn't mean you have to. Just because your body has scars doesn't mean your spirit has to carry them like a burden. I'll never forget the first time I got back on a bike after my second heart attack. My legs shook, my hands were weak. I told myself I'd just ride to the end of the street and back. That would be enough. But when I got there, something in me said, "Go a little further," so I did. I went around the block. Then the next day, a little more. Before I knew it, I was riding 10 miles at a time, then 20, then 50. Not fast, not like I used to, but I was moving. And when you move, something happens. Your body remembers what it means to be alive. Your mind clears. Your breath deepens. You stop thinking about the pain and start noticing the trees, the breeze, the way the sun looks when it hits the sidewalk at just the right angle. People ask me now, "What's your secret?" And I always laugh. There is no secret. I'm not a superhero. I don't eat some magical diet or have perfect genes. I've got more pills in my bathroom cabinet than I care to admit. I've got aches in places I didn't even know had names, but what I do have, what I've always had, is a reason to keep going. I have grandkids who look at me like I'm 10 feet tall. I have friends who need someone to talk to. I have stories I haven't told yet, and mornings I still want to wake up for. The truth is, we don't need perfect bodies to live good lives. We need purpose. We need movement. We need to stop telling ourselves that age is a finish line. It's not. It's a checkpoint. And the race? The race keeps going. The finish line is not when the wrinkles come, or when the doctor says your heart is weaker than it used to be. The finish line is when we stop trying, and I am not stopping. I remember a night, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when I sat on the edge of my bed with my head in my hands. I had just finished another round of chemo, my mouth dry as cotton, my joints burning like fire. I didn't even want to lift my arms to take off my shirt. I felt like a stranger in my own skin. My body didn't feel like mine anymore. I looked at my hands, thin and trembling, and thought, "Is this it? Is this how it ends for me? In silence, in slow motion, just fading?" But then, I heard a sound. My grandson's laugh from down the hallway. It wasn't even anything special, just a silly cartoon on TV. But that laugh, it reached into something deep inside me, like it shook the dust off my soul. It reminded me that joy still existed, even when my body forgot what it felt like. And I made a promise to myself that night. I said, if I've got one more day in me, I'm going to use it. Even if all I can do is sit on the porch and listen to that laugh. That's the thing about moments. They don't have to be big to be life-changing. You don't need a miracle. Sometimes all you need is a spark, a reminder that you're still here, still breathing, still part of this world. And if you're still part of it, that means you've still got a role to play. When I started cycling again, it wasn't about fitness. It was about freedom, about proving to myself that I wasn't done. I didn't care if it took me an hour to ride what used to take me 20 minutes. Every time I pushed the pedal, I was telling life, you haven't beaten me yet. And the funny thing is, my body started listening. It wasn't overnight. The first few rides, I felt like every joint in my body was filing a complaint. My knees creaked like old floorboards, my back ached, my lungs wheezed like a broken accordion. But I kept going, 10 minutes a day, then 15, then 20. I'd come back drenched in sweat, but I also came back smiling. You'd be surprised what your body can do when you stop treating it like a machine that's breaking down and start treating it like an old friend that just needs encouragement. People love to say, well, at your age, I've heard that sentence more times than I can count. At your age, you should take it easy. At your age, you shouldn't be out riding a bike. At your age, naps are more reasonable than new hobbies. Let me tell you something. Your age doesn't get to decide your life. You do. I've seen men younger than me give up too early, not because their bodies failed, but because they believed they had nothing left to offer. They stopped dreaming, stopped exploring, stopped fighting for their mornings. And once that happens, once you stop wanting to get better, that's when age truly wins. But I didn't let it, and neither should you. I've had good days. I've had bad ones too. Days when I rode 50 miles through country roads, the sky wide and blue, and the wind felt like applause on my face. But I've also had mornings where it took me 10 minutes just to put on socks. That's life. There's no straight line. But every little effort is a step in the right direction. Maybe you're not ready to ride a bike again. That's okay. Maybe for you, it's walking to the mailbox, standing a little taller when you get out of bed, picking up that old book you meant to finish years ago. Whatever it is, do it. Not because someone else expects it from you, but because you deserve to live fully as long as you're alive. The world isn't made for older folks like it used to be. We get quieter as we age, not because we have less to say, but because people stop listening. Well, I'm talking now, and I hope you're hearing me. You're not invisible. You're not past your prime. You're not someone who used to be something great. You still are. I look in the mirror sometimes, and I don't recognize the man staring back. The hair's thinner, the skin's looser, but the fire in the eyes, still there. Maybe even stronger now, because I've earned every wrinkle, every scar, every gray hair, and every ache. They don't mean I'm breaking. They mean I've survived. I remember a time when I walked into a store and the cashier called me young man, with that teasing smile people use when they're talking to someone with gray hair. I chuckled. Not because it was funny, but because somewhere deep inside, I still felt like I was. Not because I could sprint or lift heavy things like I used to, but because I still wanted things. I still had curiosity. I still had dreams. That's what keeps you young. Not the number of candles on your birthday cake, but the number of sparks left in your heart. People think aging is this slow, sad fade into the background, but I think that's only true if you let it be. Me? I've never been more alive. Every mile I ride now means more to me than the thousands I rode in my 30s. Back then, I was chasing speed. Now, I'm chasing meaning. Every hill I climb isn't just a workout, it's a victory. Over pain, over fear, over the voice that told me I wouldn't make it this far. That voice, it still whispers to me sometimes. Late at night, when I'm sore and tired, when I hear about another friend who didn't make it through their diagnosis, it tells me I'm next, that maybe this year will be my last. But then I wake up, I stretch, I breathe, I drink my coffee and I feel the sun on my face. And I think, not today, not yet. There's still road left. There's still people I haven't met, books I haven't read, lessons I haven't learned. One of the best things about getting older is that you stop pretending. You stop caring what other people think of your clothes, your pace, your scars. You start living for you. You learn that saying no is okay, that quiet is healing, that laughter doesn't need a reason, that a slow walk with someone you love can mean more than a big event filled with strangers. I used to measure life in accomplishments. Now, I measure it in moments, like when my great-granddaughter reached for my hand without even thinking, like when a stranger on the trail gave me a thumbs up as I biked by, not because I was fast, but because I was still riding. Like when I sat on a park bench, sweating after a ride, and realized I wasn't thinking about my next doctor's appointment. I was just enjoying the breeze. Those are the treasures, not the trophies on a shelf, not the paychecks, not even the clean bills of health, just being present, really being here. I know it's not easy. Some mornings I wake up and everything hurts. My knees ache. My shoulders feel like they've been carrying bricks. But then I remind myself, this pain is a sign. It means I'm still here. And if I'm here, I've got work to do. Not the kind of work that gets you promotions or applause. The kind that keeps your soul lit. The kind that helps someone else. The kind that matters. You don't have to cycle 2,000 miles to feel alive. You just have to try, whatever that means for you. Maybe it's finally starting that painting. Maybe it's calling a friend you haven't spoken to in years. Maybe it's just stepping outside and letting the sunlight warm your skin while you breathe in slowly, knowing that this moment, this quiet, ordinary, beautiful moment, is yours. I used to think strength was about muscles. Now, I know strength is getting up after a hard night. It's choosing joy when sadness is easier. It's smiling at your reflection, even when you don't quite recognize the face looking back. Some days I look in the mirror and see all the things I've lost. My youth, my hair, a little bit of my balance. But more often, I see all the things I've gained. Patience, gratitude, a deep appreciation for what it means to simply be. I talk to younger folks sometimes, and they look at me with this mix of awe and fear, like I've survived something mysterious, and I guess in a way I have. But what I want them to know is that getting older isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace, because the further you go, the more clearly you see what really matters. Not the noise, not the news, not the chase. Just the people you love, the peace in your heart, the courage to keep going. And if you're watching this, so have you. You know, there's something funny about aging. When you're young, you think you've got all the time in the world. You rush through things. You skip the sunsets. You put off the call to your parents. You think, I'll do it tomorrow, like there's an endless supply of tomorrows lined up just waiting for you. And then one day, you wake up and you realize there are fewer tomorrows ahead than there are behind. That can either make you afraid or make you appreciate every single sunrise a little more. For me, it was the second heart attack that changed everything. The first one scared me. The second one humbled me. It stripped away all the pretending. It forced me to face myself in a way I never had before. Lying in that hospital bed, machines beeping, nurses moving in and out of the room, I didn't think about money. I didn't think about regrets. I thought about one thing. Have I lived the kind of life I'd be proud to leave behind? And the truth was, I wasn't sure. I had done many things. I'd worked hard. I'd raised a family. I'd survived. But had I really lived? Had I stopped often enough to feel the joy? To say thank you? To hold someone's hand just because it felt good? So I made a decision. If I walked out of that hospital, I was going to live on purpose. I wasn't going to wait for better days. I was going to make better days. Even if all I could do was go outside and smile at the sky, even if it meant doing hard things, even if it meant facing the world slower, weaker, but with more intention than ever before. And that's where the bike came in. It wasn't about exercise. It wasn't about proving anything. It was about reminding myself that I could still move, still choose, still feel the wind on my cheeks and the blood pumping in my chest. Not because a machine was keeping it going, but because I wanted it to, because I was fighting for it. Every mile I rode wasn't measured in distance, it was measured in defiance. Every pedal was a whisper to death itself. Not yet. You'd be amazed what a few minutes on a bike can do for your mind. Everything quiets down. All the worries, the to-do lists, the aches. They fade into the rhythm of your breath, the gentle hum of the tires, the curve of the road ahead. And in that silence, you remember who you are. Not who the world says you should be at 82. Not the patient number on a hospital chart. Not the fragile body people tiptoe around, but the soul that still wants to live. I know some people watching this might think, well, good for you, but I'm not you. I've got arthritis, I've got bad knees. I can't even make it down the driveway without a cane. And I hear you, I really do. But here's what I've learned. You don't have to do what I do. You just have to do what you can. Maybe for you, it's standing a little longer today than you did yesterday. Maybe it's walking 10 more steps. Maybe it's opening the window and breathing deeply, letting the air fill your lungs, and saying out loud, I'm still here. Because you are, and that means there's still something left for you to experience, to give, to enjoy. Age doesn't cancel purpose. Illness doesn't erase worth. You are not a burden. You are not broken. You are becoming something braver with every battle you face. People see my age and my scars and they think I must be some kind of warrior. But I'm just a man who refused to quit. I've cried. I've hurt. I've wanted to give up more times than I can count. But I didn't. And that made all the difference. I want you to imagine something right now. Picture yourself a year from now, stronger than you are today. Maybe not in your body, but in your will, in your hope, in the quiet pride that comes from doing the hard things anyway. That version of you is possible, not because of some miracle, but because of something simple. You kept going. So if today feels heavy, if the pain is loud, if the doubts are circling, just take one step, one breath, one kind word to yourself, and let that be enough. The rest will come. I wish I could go back and talk to the younger version of myself, the man who thought he had to do everything right, who felt like he had to be strong all the time, who was afraid to ask for help because he thought it made him look weak. I'd tell him that real strength isn't found in the moments you're winning. It's found when you're on the ground, tired, hurting, scared, and you choose to stand anyway. That kind of strength, it doesn't fade with age. It grows. It gets quieter, yes. Gentler maybe, but deeper, more rooted. When you've been through enough, your strength stops shouting and starts whispering, I've made it this far. I can make it one more day. And sometimes one more day is all you need. You know, I used to think there was something heroic about pushing through pain. I thought ignoring it meant I was tough. But now, I know better. Listening to your body, respecting your limits, treating yourself with kindness, that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's how you keep going for the long haul. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparison, especially when you see someone else your age running marathons or building houses or doing handstands on the beach. But comparison is a thief. It'll rob you of your joy if you let it. The only person you need to compete with is the you from yesterday. And if today you smiled more, moved a little, took care of yourself in some small way, you're already winning. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned in my 8 decades is this. The little things matter more than you think. The phone call you make to check in on someone, the smile you give to the woman behind the counter, the note you write, the story you tell, the quiet prayers whispered into the dark. These things ripple out in ways you may never see, but they matter. and so do you. I used to be afraid of being forgotten, of being left behind in a world that moves too fast, that doesn't always slow down long enough to see the older man walking a little slower across the street, or the woman with the walker at the grocery store trying to reach something on the shelf. But the truth is, the world needs our stories, our steadiness, our perspective. It needs the calm that comes from surviving storms. It needs the laughter that's learned how to rise even after heartbreak. Don't let anyone tell you your best years are behind you. You still have firsts left, first conversations, first sunrises you've never seen, first tears of joy, first time someone tells you, because of you, I didn't give up. Yes, you. You never know who's watching you quietly, drawing strength from your example, from the way you keep showing up, from the way you ride your bike even with 2 heart attacks behind you and scars lining your chest, from the way you say, I'm okay, even when you're not, just to give someone else hope. That's what keeps me going. Not the miles, not the numbers, but the knowing that every time I choose to keep going, I'm planting a flag that says, you can too. Even now, I still have hard days. I still get scared when I feel a strange ache or a racing heartbeat. I still think about the scans, the tests, the endless waiting rooms, but I don't let those fears drive me. I acknowledge them, then I reach for my helmet, get on the bike, and ride anyway. Because motion is medicine, not just for the body, but for the soul. You don't have to be fearless to live fully. You just have to be willing to move forward with the fear, willing to try again, willing to see beauty even in the middle of the hard stuff. I remember one ride in particular. It was just after a tough week of news. A close friend had passed. My arthritis was flaring up. I almost stayed in that day, but something in me said, go anyway, so I did. Halfway through, I stopped near a little creek. The sun was setting, the water shimmering with gold, and the air smelled like pine and soil. I just stood there, breathing, watching, feeling completely alive in that moment, not because it was perfect, but because it was real, and I thought, this is why I keep going, for moments like this, for the peace that lives just beyond the pain, waiting to be found. There's a strange kind of clarity that comes with almost dying. It changes the way you see everything. Suddenly, a hot cup of coffee on a cold morning feels like a gift. A bird singing outside your window becomes a concert. A phone call from a friend isn't just nice, it's sacred. When you've faced the end, even ordinary things become extraordinary. I've learned to slow down, not because I have to, but because I want to. I want to taste every bite of life, not just chew through it to get to the next thing. I want to sit in silence and feel the weight of it. I want to laugh longer, hug tighter, listen deeper, and I want to tell people what they mean to me while I still can. We wait too long sometimes, don't we? We wait for the perfect moment, the right words, the right mood. But life isn't waiting. It's moving, always. And we only get so many chances to say, I love you, to say, thank you, to say, I'm proud of you. If you've been holding something kind in your heart, don't wait. Say it. Someone out there needs to hear it more than you know. I've said goodbye to more friends than I can count. Men I served with, neighbors I laughed with, family I grew up with. Some went quickly, some suffered, but none of them ever said, I wish I had worked more, or I wish I had worried more. You know what they said? I wish I had danced more. I wish I had forgiven faster. I wish I had gone on that trip. I wish I had been kinder to myself. That's the secret, isn't it? Kindness. Not just to others, but to yourself. It took me a long time to learn that. To forgive myself for the things I didn't get right. To stop criticizing this old body for slowing down. To stop measuring my worth and what I could still do, and instead start appreciating what I still am. I'm still a father, a grandfather, a man who shows up, a man who listens, a man who still wakes up every morning and says, let's see what today brings. That matters. You matter. You don't have to do something big to leave a mark. Sometimes just being here is enough. Sometimes just getting out of bed and smiling at the world again is an act of courage. And you know what? The older I get, the more I believe in miracles. Not the loud, flashy ones, but the quiet kind. The kind that happens when someone who's been through hell still chooses joy. When someone who's broken still offers love. When someone who's tired still finds the strength to begin again. I've had 3 cancers, chemo, radiation, 2 heart attacks, a pacemaker, a stent, and somehow I'm still here. Not just surviving, but living, fully, deeply, gratefully. I ride my bike not to escape death, but to honor life, to feel every breath. To remember that this body, even with all its flaws and repairs, is still mine, still capable, still powerful in its own way. Every time I pass another mile marker, I smile. Not because it's easy, but because it's earned, because I know what it took to get here, the long nights, the hard choices, the quiet prayers. I've made peace with the fact that my journey won't last forever. None of us gets to stay here indefinitely, but while I'm here, I want to leave something behind. Not money, not fame, but a message, a story, a light. I want someone to look at me and think, if he didn't give up, maybe I don't have to either. So if that's you, if you're watching this right now, wondering if it's too late, if you've missed your chance, if you've fallen too far behind, I'm here to tell you, it's not too late. You're not too far gone, and there's still road ahead. I've spent a lot of time lately thinking about legacy, not in the way people usually talk about it, buildings named after you, pictures in hallways, plaques on the wall. No. I'm talking about the kind of legacy that lives in the quiet places, in the lessons we leave behind, in the way we treat people, in the strength we show when no one's watching. Legacy is when your granddaughter remembers the way you held her hand on the first day of school, when your neighbor tells someone, that old man who lived down the road, he always waved, no matter what. It's when someone finds the courage to keep going because they once heard your story and thought, if he can survive all that, so can I. That's the kind of legacy I want to leave. You don't need to be famous to leave a mark. You just need to show up, with love, with courage, with a stubborn refusal to quit, even when everything inside you says it'd be easier to stop. I'm 82 years old. I've buried friends. I've faced death. I've cried behind closed doors. I've felt small and scared and broken more times than I can count. But here's the truth. I've also laughed so hard I cried. I've watched the sky turn purple at dusk and felt like I was seeing it for the first time. I've danced in my kitchen. I've kissed my wife's wrinkled hands like they were treasure. I've watched my great-grandson take his first steps and thought, this is everything. It's not the pain you remember at the end. It's the beauty you chose to see in spite of it. And that's the gift of surviving, of aging, of getting another year, another chance, another breath. So maybe you're watching this and you're in a hard place. Maybe your body is failing in ways that frustrate you. Maybe you feel invisible. Maybe you're afraid of what's next. I won't pretend I have all the answers, but I do know this. You are stronger than you think. You are more loved than you realize. And no matter what has happened to you, there is still something beautiful waiting inside you. Don't give up. Don't wait for the world to notice. Notice yourself, your worth, your presence, your life. If today is a hard day, just get through it. That's enough. You don't have to be inspiring. You don't have to smile. You just have to keep breathing. But if you can smile, do. If you can take a step, take it. If you can forgive someone or yourself, don't wait. The bike I ride now doesn't go as fast as it used to. Some days, I don't go as far. But every ride still matters. Every mile still counts. Because it's a mile I wasn't promised. It's a breath I still get to take. It's another day to love this world, to speak gently to it, to whisper, I'm still here. And if you're still here too, then I hope you keep going. I hope you find your version of the ride. Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's painting. Maybe it's writing letters or walking slowly through the neighborhood with your hands in your pockets and your head held high. Whatever it is, Let it remind you that you're still living, still choosing, still giving the world the best of what's left in you. And that is more than enough. Never give up. If you made it all the way here, thank you. That means something in today's fast world. And if this story moved you or reminded you of your own strength or someone you love, I'd be honored if you let me know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to join us. We share stories that matter, stories about life, resilience, and hope. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and stay connected. And if you're ready for more, check out the next video. It just might be the message your heart needs today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.